Man, been a minute. It's been a minute since I heard that intro, and I actually got to mess with it a little bit just looking at it now. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cageside Live, our UFC 292 pre-fight show. I'm Eddie Law. Let's let these gentlemen start here with Rob introduce themselves.
Yo, what's up, guys? I'm Rob.
And
what's up, guys? I'm Cade.
Our boy Cade with the LA hat. I keep forgetting you're an LA fan. Anyway, UFC 292, huge day in Boston. The East Coasters are loving this, of course. I don't know where you guys are. Well, I know you are, Cade. Rob, I know exactly how far west you are, but I love the West Coast time. You know, these things end around like 10, 11 o'clock for Arizona, so usually pretty good there. But big night for Boston, man. It's been a minute, what, 4 years? It's been 4 years in Boston, right?
Yeah,
2019.
Yeah, so it's been a minute. If you watch any of the presser, it was, 2-3 questions about you guys happy to come to Boston and all sorts of stuff. And I'm sure that crowd would love to have, the UFC return there every single year. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised they don't, being, Dana White's stopping grounds. But let's kick it off and let's talk about some UFC 292 prelims. So I can get this thing going. Here we go. First fight of the night, Carini Silva. I don't even know how to say it correctly. Exactly.
I think it's Carini Silva.
Carini Silva against Marina Moroz. We haven't seen Moroz much, really, since it's been a few months. I'm pretty sure. Most of that you see is her trying to get her Instagram account followers up. Good for her. But let's see with Rob here. What do you expect out of this one?
So I got to go with my fellow Ukrainian Moroz. So a few days ago, she was sitting at plus 138. Now she's sitting around plus 114, plus 118. So I think that the betting crowd is starting to lean on her a little bit. The problem is she had so many canceled fight and injuries. It's tough to say if her body can hold up. We're not sure what state she's in with her career. She might be at that spot where she's going to have to decide if it's going to be what she wants to do or if her body's going to keep up for her. So I'm going to lean in with my girl. I think this is a bit of a do or die fight for her because she's put herself in a bit of a difficult spot with, I think 8 canceled fights in 3 years.
Yeah, and then the last fight was that Jennifer Maia decision loss in November 22. So it's also been close to a year, inactive and all that. So before that, though, she had like 3-fight win streak, man. She was looking good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to say, but I'm gonna lean on her getting it done tonight. But I can't bet against the Ukrainian.
There you go. Hey, man, stick with it, man. I never bet against my Mexican brother, and so. Cade, who you picking here between Silva and Moroz?
It's no fun if we have the same pick, man. I'm going with Carini Silva. I just think that girl is she's just nasty on the ground too, and I think I actually have Carini Silva by submission. That's the way I see the fight going. I think Moroz is going to have some success in the fight. I don't think like Carini Silva is going to come out and find a submission in the first round or something like that, but probably late second round, sometime in the third, I think she'll find that sub.
Now, Carini is the demon on the ground. All right, she got Botella with the Bravo choke, and then she got Ketlin Salza the knee bar. That knee bar was slick too. The way she grabbed that was well done. So I'm leaning Silva as well on this one. Again, Moroz with the canceled fights, the injuries, whatever else she has going on. It is nice to see her back in a fight, though. All right, it's been a minute since we've seen her in a fight. So I think we're going. So we're 2-1 here on Silva and Moroz here. All right, moving on. This is a fight no one's talking about. I'm not really sure why, because it's the return of KGB Lee. Andrea Lee, in her last fight, said that Joe Rogan reached out to her following the bout and all that. I guess offered advice, whatever else. But she gets a young up and comer in Natalia Silva. Cade, going with you here first. Silva and Lee, who you picking?
I think they're both good on the ground. I actually think Lee's live because she looks for a lot of subs. But, if I had to make a pick in this fight, I think Silva by decision. Silva's very slick on the ground too. But the thing is like Andrea Lee, she's never been subbed in her career. Her defense has always been pretty good. So I'm going to lean Silva by decision.
All right, Rob, who are you taking?
It's minus 325, but I got to go with Silva as well, just straight money line. It's no disrespect to Lee, but I think Silva's at another caliber right now. And yeah, I don't like betting minus 325. If I had to give a pick out on this one, though, it's hard to say, but just because of those betting odds, it's such a favorite. I think the books are a little crazy. I think it should be a little tighter, but I would have to say Silva probably gets this done.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like Silva as well. Natalia Silva, again, young up and comer, 8 years younger than KGB Lee. A lot less damage, obviously. And but I am with Cade on the not by submission. I really don't think so. Decision Jasmine Jasudavicius. Is that how you say it? Jasudavicius. Thank you. And you know what? Jay told me how I said it one time. I completely missed it. And then TKO'd Teresa Bleda, and then this Victoria Leonardo here in May by TKO as well. So I think it's going to be a fun stand-up battle. It might be one of the more fun fights in the prelims. If it hits the ground, I don't think anyone's going to sub anybody. I think we're going to getting stood up or finding our way back up to the feet. But I think it's going to be one of those.
So I was just going to say real quick, like just for people betting out there, like Silva's minus 325, right? But if you don't think someone's going to sub him or get the finish, then you like Silva in the fight, it's plus money to get her a decision if you're looking at it from a betting standpoint. So
you guys are schooling me, man. I know nothing about betting, so I
was looking it up on DraftKings.
There you go. All right, moving on. Nice, fun middleweight bout. It's been a minute since we saw Gerald Meerschaert, the GM3 in the prelim, taking on Andre Petrosky, who's coming up. I want to say he's coming off the Wellington tournament fight. He got the decision win. That win over Maximov in May last year, that was pretty slick for him. So getting a GM3 who's a veteran, like a real veteran. I mean, the experience factor couldn't be more, apart as far as Petrosky being 10 pro fights, Gerald Meerschaert north of 40. Rob, who are you picking?
This one's tough. But I like Andre. He's got 3 out of 4 finishes here, so he's in a good spot. I'm going to lean with him, the younger guy, being able to get it done today. Everyone betting-wise, too, I'm thinking it's minus 230 for him to win. I really like him in this fight, though. I think it's a good matchup for him, and it'll be a good test. If he wins this one, it might be a springboard for him.
Gotcha. Cade, who are you picking? You muted yourself, bro.
Yeah, that's because someone keeps calling me. But I'm gonna go with Petrosky personally. I think if Meerschaert wins, his chance is going to be in the later rounds. If he can maybe get Petrosky to gas himself out, maybe find a sub or something like that. But if we're talking about just winning minutes, and if Petrosky's gas tank is there and his cardio is there, then I just don't see a way. I think Petrosky's wrestling will win the fight.
And that's the deal, right? The wrestling factor is not going to be like you could wrestle, GM3, but he'll catch you with something on the feet. GM3 has shown that he gets hit, and he gets hit hard and clean and knocked out. So I think just with you guys as well, if Meerschaert can get the fight down, obviously it's going to look a lot better for him. Petrosky's a tough dude to finish on anywhere really. I'm picking as we go, by the way. I haven't thought about this ahead of time. And I am going with GM3. I like the experience factor. I almost always lean experience when it comes to like this far apart, as far as how many years in fights I have in the resume. But I wouldn't be surprised if Petrosky gets it down. But I like GM3 in this one as well. All right, moving on. That's the early prelims. Next fight up, Bracketona, Cody Gibson. This is the bantamweight finale. First of all, starting here with Cade. Did you watch Tough 31? Any of it?
I watched the whole thing.
What'd you think? Just overall of the season itself, not the format or anything like that, but like the season itself.
It's hard to say, man, because as a fight fan and knowing where some of these fighters came from, I respect the fact that they've pulled themselves back up to get to this level. Yeah. But the season as a whole, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, it's just like Connor was like, he wasn't all the way in. He was like halfway out. Chandler was fully in. I don't know. I would say it's probably a C+, like on the season as a whole, man, to be honest.
Rob, there was what do you think of the season? First of all, have you watched it?
I like parts of it, but you could see that they had to film around Connor because Connor just straight up wasn't present in like the last 2 episodes. He'd show up for the fights and stuff, but I'm pretty sure it was just Kavanaugh running the entire show most of the time. I don't know how much Connor actually trained. I'm sure some of these other guys will speak out because Connor seemed to rub a few of the fighters the wrong way. Even kind of on his team, it looked like there was a bit of annoyance. I liked the season. It was what it was. I'm happy that Chandler's probably going to be fighting McGregor. Now we've got a little bit more certainty on that because partway through the season, everyone's like, this is dumb. These two aren't fighting each other anymore. But it did end with Katona and Gibson kind of having this like awkward, like banter back and forth. And I commented, I'm like, this is hard to watch when it came out on Twitter. And people tended to agree with me on that one. So, there were some fun elements, but yeah, even Dana White was pissed off about the cold tub situation. He got mad. I'm like, yeah, I think everyone just kind of fed up with the season.
So I watched the first episode when I realized the exact same thing they always do. I was like, I could just go on Instagram and see McGregor act a fool, and I can go get hyped up on, hyped up and inspired and motivated by Michael Chandler on YouTube. I don't need to watch this stuff. So what I will do, and a lot of my friends on Twitter are cool with doing this, is someone will DM me right before the fights, the actual fight part of the episode starts, and that's when I tune in. So I missed all the real world, MTV garbage that I'm not really a big fan of, but I did catch clips of the tub incident. By the way, when I saw that they were in there for like half an hour, I'm sitting there going like, it's a room full of professional athletes, not knowing this is a terrible idea, right? Like, you all know this is dumb. Like, I mean, I'm old school. I did the cold tub in football in high school, and that sucked like terribly. You can only be there for a couple minutes at most. And I know these guys are tough and they handle it just fine. But that was kind of dumb. But I'm with you on this one, Rob. With the Dana White has to be kind of pissed off about the season. You got McGregor. Conor McGregor is the biggest star. You could argue he's up top 3 still, because anytime you say McGregor, everyone gets hyped on it. You put him in the season. You put Michael Chandler in the season. And it didn't pop off the way he thought it would, right? Like, it did not. No one cared. After the first week, nobody cared, really. We were all hyped to get Contender Series back. I was hyped when it came back. I was like, hell yeah, Contender Series. And they're like, oh, so the same night is tough. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'll wait till the DWCS starts up. But
I think part of the reason, though, that it didn't pop off the way that they expected to is because I really don't think – and this is nothing against Michael Chandler. He's an exciting fighter himself, but I just don't think Mike was the guy that like excited Conor. Sure. And I'm not saying that is in a disrespectful way, but it's Conor, and that's how Conor is. Maybe I'm wrong, but when I say this, this is what I truly believe. I think if it was somebody like Colby Covington or somebody who has a mouth and can sell the fight a little bit more with him, maybe it would excite him more. I'm not really sure completely, but that's why I think. And I think, honestly, Conor's head is not completely in the UFC anymore. I think he only does it because that's where he started. So this is my opinion.
You could have put Mayhem Miller in there, and they would have been more eyes than Michael Chandler.
Way more. Dude,
it would have been chaos.
You know who I was hoping for? Yeah, the entire time. You know what I was hoping for? And a lot of people disagree with me on this. And it's not because I want to see him fight him now, because that train kind of rolled about 10 years ago. Tony Ferguson in there as coach against Conor McGregor, I would have watched every episode, because Tony, dude, I've covered Tony 3 times at pay-per-views, okay? And every single time the dude comes in, he walks into the media room. You don't catch it on video unless someone's live streaming, which usually Junkie or somebody else is. But he walks in, looks at you with sunglasses on, goes, "What's up, fuckers?" And he sits down, grabs his drink. He always grabs a chair, flips it backwards, like so he can sit with the rest up here on his chest, and then he starts going. And you just want to ask him a question, and you just let him go. Like, that's what we do. We ask him a question, and we just sit back like, all right, what are you going to give us today, Tony? That would have been gold on camera at Tough. Gold. I would have loved it, honestly. But
I can't disagree with that, actually. That would have been some must-see TV.
If we're talking about just entertainment alone, not the fight at the end, but entertainment alone, that's the guy.
Pure entertainment.
Yeah. All right. So the 2 guys that came out of the 135 was Brad Katona, which seems like everybody hates. Honestly, like, I haven't seen one person on Twitter be like, "Hell yeah,
I like him."
You like?
I might be the one guy.
We got the one guy. All right, we got the one guy taking on Cody Gibson. Well, we'll start with you, Rob. Who are you picking this?
So I'm going to pick Brad Katona on this one. He's minus 162, and it seemed like Gibson wants this fight so bad to the point where when he was like mouthing off at him during that clip from Tough, I'm like, this is uncomfortable. Like, I'm not digging this. Like, it seems like Gibson like has a little bit of a crush on him, to be honest with you. It's like a kid poking fun of the girl that he likes. I think Katona's going to win this fight. I think he should be the favorite. Minus 162, I think, is a safe bet on this one. When a guy really wants it, you're probably going to see Gibson run in there in that first minute. He's going to try and do some stuff, and it's not going to go well. I think you'll see him potentially get sat by Katona, which Katona doesn't do a whole lot of, but Gibson's going to fight with a bit of an unnecessary passion because Katona has no ill will against him. Like, Katona didn't care. He's standing there like, what's wrong with you? And like, you see Michael Chandler sitting there like on his phone, like, God, this is uncomfortable. And I think that's how we all feel about this fight too.
Michael Chandler looking down, because I seen the clip, and he's just looking down his phone like, please stop. Like, I was like, please stop. It was funny. He's like, I got kids at home that are more mature than this.
And Brad was quiet the whole time too. Brad was just like calm and like really chill about it. And then Gibson's like getting there, getting red faced and getting heated. I'm like, I can't bet for Gibson on this one. I think Katona sets him. All right,
Kay, what are you thinking?
I listen. Cody was one of my favorite guys on the show, to be honest with you. In the cage. I don't care about all that MTV bullshit. I'm just talking about in the cage.
Yeah.
I like Cody Gibson here. My biggest concern is, though, with Cody is that Tamir he wasn't successful really getting Katona where he wanted him on the ground. And that is a concern because I do think Katona is going to have the better hands and the better striking. I think Cody's going to look to get the fight to the ground. I'm banking on him to do that, but I wouldn't tell somebody else to go throw their money on that or anything like that. But overall, in the whole fight, I like Cody. I think Cody wants it. Gotcha.
Going off their records, what they've done recently, especially, that's what I like to do with guys that leave the UFC. Like, where do they go? Who do they fight? I like Brad Katona on that. Cody Gibson had, I think, fought Francisco Rivera up next fighting, and he submitted him in 3 rounds. If you're going to come back to the UFC, Francisco Rivera is a dog, all right? I like that guy. I love watching him fight. I talked to him before. He's a great guy to talk to about, this kind of stuff and everything. But, like, dude, it took you that long to get him. Like, I know Francisco's tough as hell, but come on, dude. Like, you're coming back here? And add on top of that, the animosity. He might come out, like, a little crazy, take some chances he normally wouldn't. Even if he doesn't do that, I still like Brad Katona in this one in a not so exciting fight, more than likely. But I'm taking Brad on this one as well. Takes us to the lightweight finale. Kurt Hollabog, which I got crap for online for putting A's instead of O's on his last name. My bad, Kurt. We saw that. I apologize. That legitimately was a slip of the fingers. I was typing like crazy. Taking on Austin Hubbard. Starting here with Cade, man. Who are you picking?
I got to go with Austin Hubbard. I think I don't know. I think that he'll use his wrestling in this fight. I think he'll take it down. I know a lot of people are high on Kurt because of his last fight with Jason Knight, but I just don't. Austin's not going to sit there and play that game that Jason Knight played with Kurt. So, yeah, I think Austin by decision. That's how I see the fight going. And I think Kurt might get around, but, I think that Austin will pull away.
There you go. Rob, who are you picking?
Okay, so on this one, I'm not going to pick either side. I'm going to say over 2 rounds. So it's either going to be a decision or a 3rd round finish for either side. It's a tough fight to try and break this one down. I like both guys quite a bit.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that as well. I am going to pick Austin Hubbard on this one. Again, recent resumes, 0-3 in the UFC for Kurt, and that was after the no contest at Dana White's in 2016, 2017, something like that. But Austin Hubbard's, he's just a likable guy. I don't know why. I start making picks like if I like somebody, like as a person, I think he's a cool dude, it seems, and so. But I overall, I just think Kurt's recent resume is not that great. Although he did a great job getting to the finale for sure, so good for him. All right, RoboCop is up against Dennis. I'm not gonna say your last name, buddy. I'm not gonna make it sound terrible. But RoboCop is that dude. I think he lost his last fight, right? He came off a pretty nasty.
Yeah, I think he actually got knocked out.
It was like a nasty one though, right? Like a pretty bad one. Yeah, so. RoboCop against Dennis here. Rob, who you picking?
I'm going to go with Gregory by knockout. It's plus 120. I think that's the best value you can get on the fight. I can see him getting the finish here. So that's what I'm going to go with. The money line on that fight is not worth touching.
No. Jeez. All right. Okay, who are you picking?
RoboCop, man. I think he'll get it done by knockout or submission. I think any way he wants, to be honest.
So I like RoboCop as well. I think he needs to come back and get that era of hey, what's up, boys? What's going on, man?
What's up, Andrew?
But I think RoboCop needs to come back and get that mystique of it, because before this last one we got knocked out, he had this like feel about him when he got in the cage. It's like, all right, he's gonna get it done. Just how is he gonna get it done? And I think he's gonna try. He needs to come back and try and get that back. Not recklessly, but just with the same old confidence. Otherwise, we've seen guys take a really nasty knockout, a really nasty finish, and then never be the same. And this is what you try to avoid, I think, as a fighter. So I like RoboCop. I'll get bold with that. I say I think he gets it done in the second round knockout. So yeah, so we'll go with that. All right, moving on. And this is a weird one because Chris Weidman is not a prelim fighter. It's still odd to me that he's not on the main card in a way, just off the name value. We all know about his previous fights. I'm sure 90% of us were like kind of cringing when we heard he even booked another fight, but you just hope the best for Chris Weidman. Taking on Brad Tavares, who's had his share of injuries and his share of little downturns and all that. Cade, who are you picking?
This one was tough for me. I don't know, man. It's a toss-up for me because it's like Brad Tavares has 80% takedown defense. I feel like that's where Chris Weidman's going to look to take the fight, is to the ground. I think Brad's going to be the better striker. I think Chris will be better on the ground if it goes there. But if I was going to lean one certain way, I don't think guys come back very well from the injury that Weidman suffered. Brad Tavares probably by knockout or decision if I had to choose.
You don't want to choose. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a toss-up.
It's a hard one. Yeah. It's hard to see a guy like Weidman get, have his career turn out the way it has. Dude, what was it? The spinning back heel kick, right? That he threw against Rockhold.
Yep.
That's the moment his career just dived. It was sad.
That's my boy.
Right, Rob, who you picking?
So Chris Weidman, nice guy. Brad Tavares, I also know Brad, so it's a tough one on this one because I like both individuals. But I have to go with my buddy Brad. I don't like betting against Extreme Couture. We've got Nixick in the corner for this one. I think Brad's going to be in a position where he might take a couple shots at Chris's legs right off the fight. And Brad's known as a guy in the gym who has incredibly hard leg kicks. So he can just rip in there. That calf kick is dangerous. I think Brad gets it done by TKO or submission, and that's plus 120. Money line on this one, he's a huge favorite. But I think Brad's probably going to stop this fight. And I have a really creepy, awkward feeling that we might see Chris's leg potentially be a problem in this fight. And if it happens again, or just regardless, if that ends up how the fight stops, I think that'll be telling of potentially what Conor is able to do against some other opponents if they decide, like Justin Gaethje, to rip his legs too. So Brad's getting this done. I'm very confident in this one.
I like Brad Tavares as well, and you make a good point with Nick, Aaron Nixick in the corner. Longo on the other side. Nice little chess match there with these two guys. But we're talking about two different kind of horses, right? One coming off a nasty injury, and on this one, and it doesn't happen a lot, but I do put a lot in the mental, emotional aspect of it in terms of Brad. We've all seen what's going on in Hawaii, specifically Maui. I know he's from Kailua, but what's going on in Hawaii, like. There's being motivated, there's being confident, and then there's emotional like motivation. I would say he has a whole state on his back. I know he wants that mic time at the end. So I think he's gonna take it first round TKO. And I hate to say that you said it before I did, Brad, but or Rob, but that leg's gonna be a problem. Yeah, with the kicks that Brad. When Brad hits a bag, I know you've probably seen it, but when Brad hits a tie bag, you feel bad for the bag. It's terrifying to hear in person. I've heard it one time, and I'm like, nah, hell no, not holding past that dude.
Outside of Ray Sefo, Brad Tavares apparently is the guy with the best kicks there in the gym, just in terms of power. So
Nasty.
if they're saying that,
Nasty.
I was making jokes about letting Brad calf kick me when I was at the gym the last time for a video just for the cloud. It'd be funny. And everyone's like, don't have Brad do that. So there you go.
You're not walking for a while.
No.
Yeah. All right. That's wraps up the prelims here. First fight on the main card. Big fight, regardless of opponent change. Maybe an even be more exciting fight because of the opponent change. Chito Vera taking on Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz last fought against Chris Gutierrez, beat him in Kansas City. I was there for that one. And then Chito Vera coming off the loss to, why am I blanking?
Corey.
Thank you. Corey Sanhagen. That's right. Corey Sanhagen, who unfortunately tore his whole triceps off his freaking bone. Big fight here. Probably more entertaining than it would have been with Cejudo in there. But either way, they lost nothing on this one. This is perfect fight matchup, in my opinion, for the main card. Rob, who are you picking on this one?
I'm flipping on the spot. I'm going Pedro Munoz. I actually was looking at Marlon Vera. Betting wise, though, it doesn't make sense, I think, to take Marlon. He's minus 185. Pedro Munoz is a sneaky dog, and he's been able to do stuff still. This isn't a downtrodden fighter. He's a veteran guy. I think he might cause some problems with Chito, but betting wise, I mean, like, he's the underdog. I think it's probably better to go with him on this one.
What about you, kid?
My guy, Pedro Munoz. I got to go with Pedro. My reasoning behind this is that I think Chito's a 5-round fighter. And in a 3-round fight, I don't think this fight favors him because Chito is an extremely – I mean, Pedro does sometimes too, but Chito, like, all the time. He is very slow starter. He takes time to get his reads. A lot of his finishes, I feel like, come late. And the thing with Chito is he was down to Frankie Edgar. He was down, obviously, to Corey. He was down in the Dom Cruz fight before he found the finish. There's a couple other fights that he's been down in before he won the fight. And to his credit, he still won the fight, but most of those fights were 5-round fights. This is a 3-round fight against a guy in Pedro Munoz who's I don't even think in his entire career has even been finished. So I like Pedro, man, as the dog, to be honest. I think Pedro gets it done.
Speaking of dogs, Marlon Vera is a dog in the most deepest sense of the word. That guy does not care. I've never seen someone give less of a shit about speaking to the media or anybody else than that guy. But when you see him in the gym, I've never seen him not smiling. Like, he's always happy in the gym. Mind you, maybe he might be smiling when he's training and shit like that, but he always seems kind of happy when he's in there and everything. And he's just like that dude. You just want to hang with it and stuff. He's just like, man, fuck this guy, fuck that. He started telling Sean O'Malley he ain't even fighting that dude next and everything. Well, maybe he might fight me next, but he's like, you can go fuck yourself and all that stuff. But in terms of fighting, like, just I like the journey he had from the tough days. The reason he was fighting for his daughter, she got the surgery so she could, they could fix. I think it was the eye issue. To now, tatted up, the attitude, I belong here. Pay me and I want my title shot type of deal. I'm like, let's go. So I'm picking him way away from even talking about fighting. But Pedro Munoz is that dude. Like, everyone kind of like forgot about him because he had a couple of losses and all that. But people need to stop looking at that dude like he's done. He's not. And then at the media day when he was talking about he might go, he was like, I was thinking about go fucking Sean O'Malley up or something like that in the hotel, but I'm a father and I'm a believer, so I didn't do that. That dude's it's just funny to hear him trying to make jokes. I don't know. All right. This guy talking about savages and that dog, Damon Blackshear, pulls off a twister last week and then goes, yeah, I'll fight Mario Batista on no notice, basically. Big time fight for both men. In my opinion, and I'll go first on this one. Mario has all the pressure on him because he's been training for this one, right? This guy, he ain't supposed to fight Blackshear. Now Damon Blackshear comes in here. The first thing they ask him was, are you going to pull off a twister and everything? He smiled about it. Yeah, if it's there, whatever. He's not a guy who's going to pull off a twister every single time, but it's a nice thought. And it was a crazy finish. I like guys that aren't afraid to take challenges. And so again, it's another one that's a part of the just aside from the fighting styles and all that. I'm taking Blackshear on this one because it'd also be pretty cool to get 2 wins in 2 weeks. So we'll see if that happens there. Cade, who are you picking?
I'm going to go with my guy, Mario Batista here. I think Blackshear, what he's done his last couple fights is great. I think he's improved as well. But he's just fought 7 days ago. He had to make weight again. I don't know what the process that is for a guy like that. And Mario Batista's a savage, and Damon is a great grappler when he's initiating the grappling, but he has had some in the past. He's been able to been taken down and stuff like that. So I just like Batista here. I think Batista, honestly, mainly because Damon had to cut weight again, I feel like, is why I'm probably going with Batista more so. Other than that, I think it's actually a competitive fight and actually might be one of the better fights of this card.
Yeah, just submitted Guido Canetti, Benito Lopez, and then Brian Kelleher all in a row, respectively. And so he's a dog on the ground for sure. Did you get to see him at the lab at all?
Yeah, I didn't get to talk to him. He was really busy, but he was over in the corner training. Yeah, I got to see him.
Nice. Rob, who are you picking?
So on this one, it's tough. Frank Mir said it best, though. The first thing to dehydrate is your brain, and it's the last thing to rehydrate. So back-to-back weight cuts could put Damon in a position where it could be easier for him to be knocked out. I'm surprised that the UFC went ahead and made a move like this. PR-wise, it makes sense, but fighter health-wise, I don't think it does. That being said, based on the odds, I wouldn't bet on this fight, but I go with Mario just simply because the depletion. There's no way of getting around that. The back-to-back weight cuts is a tough move. So I'm gonna lean Mario's probably gonna finish this fight, to be honest with you. And it could be by knockout, but I don't like betting on it. But Mario's my pick.
Yeah, my thought process was the same thing on the dehydration, all the weight cuts and everything. I picked him on just off a heart, I guess. But you're right. Like they had the dehydrate, rehydrate messes with you big time. If he finishes Damon Blackshear, I hope it's by submission. I don't want to see that guy get knocked out coming off a weight cut. 2 weight cuts in a row. That's a rough one.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. This fight out of nowhere got heated. Sort of out of nowhere, I got heated. Okay. Neil Magny steps in for a who knows. I want to say injured Jeff Neal against Ian Gary, and there was no heat whatsoever until media day. I want to say, and I'm sure you guys both heard the clip and all that, and I watch them because I edit and I upload onto our YouTube. But Neil Magny made a joke about whooping Ian Gary's ass the way he whoops his kid and all this other stuff, whatever. And Ian Gary ran with it. And he ran with it hard. And he starts, you guys saw the press conference. It got pretty bad. So suddenly this thing got heat. So Rob, who are you picking with this?
Ian Gary, first round TKO. That's plus 225. In this situation, I think Neil Magny's dug a hole. And the way he was acting in the press conference, I think he could tell he messed up and was trying to kind of fight his way out of it. If he's already fighting out in the press conference, I think this could potentially lead to Ian Gary being able to go in there. I think Gary is motivated in the sense of I want to show this guy up because of what he had to say. So I think it gave Gary an extra level of motivation here. And being in Boston is going to be big for him too. There's big people that represent him are going to be there. So I think it's going to put a bit of a boost for him. I think Neil Magny really wishes he didn't say what he said. I'm surprised the backlash actually wasn't more out of this situation, because I was sitting there, I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? Why would you say that? And then Ian Gary goes, I'm going to bury this dude. He even cut up a clip for his own social media. So yeah, man, I don't know. Fighting wise, and also the stuff outside of the ring, I think it's set up Ian Gary to be able to go out here and just smoke him. And Neil Magny is the guy. He's been the guy for a long time. He holds a lot of records. I think Ian Gary is going to smoke him, though, in the first round.
My guy Kevin Nicholson chiming in on the Blackshear fight. Totally agree. Brain health with weight cut is a big potential issue for a fighter under normal circumstances, not to mention 2 cuts in a week. 100%. Cade, who are you picking?
Ian Gary. It's the obvious choice here. But I do think that Neil Magny is good enough to hang around to a decision. But I have a sneak. I nobody bet this, by the way, when I say this. Nobody, please do not say, oh, Cade Morehouse said on the Cageside Press live show to bet this. No. But Ian Gary for the sub.
Damn. What are the odds on that? That's exactly what I was going to ask. What are the odds on that?
Thanks,
That'd be Someone's gonna put a bet on that watch.
I think it was.
I'm looking right now. Neil Magny by submission.
No.
Ian Gary by submission. Plus 450.
Put $10 on that. Why not? It might happen.
Neil Magny by submission is plus 2,000 if you want to get like complete degen.
Jesus. That's okay. That's nuts. That's a bit much.
Yeah, don't do that's like my my PFL parlay last night. I put all of the underdogs. So it was Librock, Olena, and Jordan Heiderman. I put them all together. It was like plus 45,000. So obviously that didn't go the way I wanted, but I put $1. I'm like, maybe I can get a dinner tomorrow.
That'll work.
It's a lottery ticket.
Yeah, it is. All right, Ian Machado Gary for me. Ian Gary has this ability to build up a story and then go through with it. And I know a lot of people are giving him crap for sounding almost exactly like Conor McGregor does, but someone said at the blueprint he's following it. I can't knock it. So until they prove him wrong, what are you gonna do? Ian Gary. Yeah. I'm gonna say Ian Gary, second round TKO. So
I think in the context of everything, it made sense the way he was speaking.
Yeah. It made sense. But it's just immediately on Twitter, everyone's just like, "Oh, look, he's just Conor McGregor wannabe, whatever." Yeah, give Ian Gary his respect there. There's a lot more to that guy than there is to Conor McGregor, in my opinion. If you look into the backstory, if you watch the stuff that he posts of him and his family and everything, to me, there's a lot more to him than guy to Conor. What's up?
Different guys. I said just they're two different completely people, like two different guys completely.
100%. All right, we got literally like 4 or 5 minutes where we have to go. So quickly. Title fight, strawweight title. Zhang Weili just coming off not just coming off, but it's in a minute. Took the belt off of Carlos Barza not too long ago. Amanda Lemos. Some people think she's a harder hitter and a better fighter than Weili. Rob, who are you picking?
I'm gonna go with Lemos, just betting wise. I think it makes sense. But I think she's gonna be a sneaky one. And every time I start to get that sneaky feeling, and there's a good betting underdog, I want to lean on it, especially in a title fight like this. I'm gonna go with Lemos.
Lemos, we got Annie. What about you, Cade?
I got to go with Weili. I think she's going to be the faster fighter on the feet. I think I also think like she has the wrestling advantage over Lemos. And I think Weili's going to use that. Give me like, honestly, if I had to make like a prediction, get Weili by sub.
Gotcha. I think it's going to end up being a really close split decision win for Weili. I think she's going to try to put the pressure on her grinder, just like with the wrestling and all that. But, I like to see different things happen. So if Lemos wins, I won't be upset at all. All right. And then the main event of the evening, Aljamain Sterling, Sean O'Malley. Things have flipped hard on this one.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, in my opinion, a lot of support for Sean O'Malley leading up to it. And then suddenly everyone's talking about picking Aljo and how Aljo's going to beat him up and smack him around and all that. I don't know where all that came from. But, Kate, who are you picking?
I'll be quick with this. I think Aljo could wrestle him, for 5 rounds and win the fight that way. If I watch both fighters on tape, it screams Aljamain Sterling. But then when I ask myself in the heart, who's going to win this fight? He's going to get wrestled. Like in my heart, I just feel like 5 rounds with O'Malley, somewhere he's going to catch him. I just feel like this is O'Malley's moment, his time. Everything this week screams Sean O'Malley. And not saying it like this, but the UFC would love to have that kid as champion because of the fact he's so marketable. Like that's just the way I feel. But I just my heart tells me Sean finds a way to get it done.
What about you, Rob? What do you think?
Aljamain Sterling by submission. He's either going to sub him or this is going to be a boring 5-round fight where he mostly holds them, pushes them against the cage, or has them on the ground. Nixick and I called this last fight perfectly, and I think this time again I'm going to be able to do it just the same. Aljamain Sterling's going to wrestle him. It's going to be a grappling match, and I think in the maybe 4th or 5th round you're going to see him be able to slap on a choke and choke out O'Malley.
Aljamain Sterling, rear naked choke. Doesn't matter when, but that's what's happening. That guy's the new. I'm not going to put him in the same sentence as Damian Maia as far as grappling, but he's like the bantamweight Damian Maia. As soon as he backpacks you, it's over. He ain't going nowhere. Slaps that body triangle on you, and the way he does it, it makes it so tight. It doesn't matter how skinny you really are, which Sean O'Malley is super skinny. It's actually going to help Aljo be able to get that that body triangle and get the long leg under the right leg of Sean O'Malley is going to be such a pain in the ass to get out of that thing. So,
well, I think you make a great point, Eddie. It's like everyone's like Sugar this, Sugar that, Sugar this is going to be champion. Da, 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 da. Now we're here fight week, and it's like where's all the Sugar energy? Where's everyone at for Sugar Sean?
What did Aljo say? Make it sugar free. Make the UFC sugar free. I don't mind the cringy stuff anymore. I think Cejudo totally numbed me to cringy stuff when it comes to UFC, to MMA in particular. But Aljo's like, I'm gonna make it sugar free. As long as he doesn't, show up to the presser with pillows of his opponents are throwing him around, I'm cool with it. But it's nutty stuff. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's a UFC 292 breakdown. Cageside Press UFC 292. Going down here in about now. It's kicks off here in a couple minutes here. So, Rob, Cade, appreciate you guys jumping on here. Appreciate y'all. And next time we'll do this with a lot more notice and a lot more prepared. But we decided to jump on, have some fun today. So enjoy the fights, enjoy the pay-per-view. Catch you guys on the next one. For myself, Rob, Cade, the entire team, we love you guys. Have a good day.